Hello listeners, in this video let us discuss how to refine your English and learn polite and diplomatic English. Because having a diplomatic conversation can improve your career. When you speak at your workplace, your first priority is probably that how people understand you, because that becomes a good priority that you can have for yourselves. However, you might also want to sound smooth, confident, professional, and kind to your colleague and to professional people whom you meet. So, you should definitely make this a priority too. You can start by using polite, diplomatic, and modern English. It is important to be polite and having a diplomatic style in English because that can make difference between being successful, because having a successful professional career has a lot to do with how others perceive you. When you use a diplomatic language with certain people, you can find that you achieve the result that you are aiming for. Otherwise, you would be completely ignored by the people you are addressing. Keep a check when you translate something that is polite in your language and see to it that it sounds polite in English. Be careful because translating doesn't work all the time, because English has its own way of being polite. The words, tone, and expression can be polite in your language, but it would be odd or aggressive in English. Now, you may have a question, how can I be more polite in English? Things that you must follow is changing the grammar that you are using to make your English softer using specific words and expression. Let us see some strategy to speak in diplomatic English. As I already said, change the grammar that you use, make indirect questions, use modals, use negatives, use the second conditional. For example, here is a phrase for you. Could I ask why I only have access to 5 courses? If this is a question that you wanted to put forth in your workplace, try it like this. I was wondering why I only have access to 5 courses. I would appreciate it if you could tell me why I only have access to 5 courses. The strategy used in this phrase is changing the grammar usage. That is, using simple present can sometimes come across as rude, too direct, and bossy. But by changing the tense, the meaning is still in the present, but the style becomes more diplomatic, softened, more friendly, and less direct. Let me give you another example. First is example for present. When is the deadline? Let us see the same phrase when we change the tense. When did you say the deadline was? Another example in simple sentence. I hope you can join us for the meeting. This is very straight and direct. Now let us use the same phrase in continuous sentence. I was hoping you could join us for the meeting. You can use indirect questions. For example, I need to know. In this place, try to use could you tell me? Next, try to concentrate to make a negative question so that it becomes a suggestion but not an order. Sample phrase, it is better to. In this case, try to use wouldn't it be better to? Try to use modals. Example, we can try. Instead saying we can try, say we could try. Instead saying we will need, say we would need, we might need. Let us see the second strategy on how to use diplomatic English. At times when you are not sure of the information that you are giving, or you are unsure whether the information is accurate, try to use these words and expressions. Use apparently, it seems that, as far as I know, it would appear that. So you can use all of these words and expressions right at the beginning of the sentence. That is when you begin your information. 2. When you had made a strong statement, you can try to make it direct or definite by reformulating the sentence. Use or rather, I mean. You can include these words at the middle of the sentence. 3. When you are providing bad news or a refusal to someone, try to use I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I'm afraid. 4. When you make things less serious, try to use these. A small, a slight. Say this instead. There might be a slight delay. Instead of a bit, slightly, say the price is slightly higher. You can also use just and sorry in your expressions. For example, can I ask you something? Instead, say, could I just ask you something? I disagree. In this place, you can say, sorry, but I don't really agree. You can use the negative sounding adjectives with not plus opposite adjective. For example, that's terrible. Here you can say, that's not great. I think that's a bad idea. Instead say, I don't think that's such a good idea. You can also replace you said with I understood. For example, you said you would give us a 4% discount. Instead of this, say, I understood we would have a 4% discount. Do not finger point anybody. For example, when you have conversation, do not use words by pointing to someone. For example, you don't understand me. Instead, this statement say, perhaps I'm not making myself clear. You didn't explain that properly. You can say, sorry, I'm not following. You can also use vague language. Vague meaning not clear or definite, meaning uncertainty. For example, instead asking, have you read my email yet? You can ask, did you have a chance to read that email? Thank you for listening. My takeaway from this video is I personally prefer polite language because it is less aggressive and I personally feel more comfortable. Mutual respect is always a good thing in a conversation. What is your take on this? Please write it down on the comment below. Thank you.